Hi, and welcome to Quarantine Cooking. I'm Veronica, your host, and this is the second video in a series where I make live foods and teach people how to ferment from home. Right now I have kombucha that I brewed, and I'm going to show you how to flavor it and bottle it today. I'm going to take these out because I don't need these when I'm flavoring and bottling the tea. So I'll move these aside so you see all of the gloopy action here. Kind of looks like a jellyfish. I know some people like to, they give them away, you can give them away to your friends because these definitely just keep building the more you make kombucha. But I know people that have made dog treats out of it, dried it out and made dog treats because they're kind of leathery and chewy. I've heard of people making leather fabric from SCOBYs, which is kind of cool. Because you have to get rid of them eventually because if you can see, this one is I would say let the SCOBYs occupy up to 1/3 of the jar. Otherwise, you're going to have a super strong brew and it might turn a little vinegary. That's really the only danger of a long brew, but it can be saved, you know. Anything can be saved. Kombucha is very forgiving. But yeah, this one's real thick. This one. It's like that. Yeah, it's very much alive, so you have to treat them with care, but they're pretty hardy, you know. So I have all of these in my bowl. Before bottling, I just put all the SCOBYs in the bowl, and I add a little of this starter liquid, brewed kombucha, back into them so that they have a little bit of moisture and something to feed it. So I'm going to set this aside because we don't really need this right now. And so for the bottling component, for the kombucha, you'll need your brewed tea, a big bowl. You'll need a measuring cup, cherry juice. I like to use this IKEA blueberry syrup. You can juice your own ginger, but I like to just buy it. And then you'll also need an assortment of bottles for your secondary fermentation. So these bottles should be glass. They should be airtight. They should have a good seal on them. I have some of these ones too. They kind of have what do you call it? It's like a flip top something. So I either use these or I use bottles that used to have kombucha in them that I purchased. And I use those because they had kombucha in them before, so they can handle the pressure, because you don't want to use a bottle that has, you don't want to use a glass bottle that's too weak, because kombucha could explode and you'd have a mess and dangerous glass everywhere, and you don't want to have that in your quarantined house. That's just one more thing for you to deal with. Anyway, not good. So I like to do a second fermentation because it makes the kombucha more bubbly. You can just drink it like this, straight, but I prefer mine to have more flavor and more bubbles. Because what you're doing with the secondary fermentation is you're adding more sugar to the mixture that has already digested the sugar. So by adding that second source of sugar, you're giving the bacteria more to eat. And by leaving the cap closed, this time you leave the bottle closed when you ferment it a second time, as opposed to open with a cheese pop. And so by leaving the bottle closed, you are trapping that carbon dioxide and you're keeping it bubbly. So anyways, to make the mix, I use about ginger juice, half other juice. So for each gallon jug, I do approximately a cup of flavoring. So for this, I'm going to mix up 2 cups of flavoring because we have 2 jugs. So I do a cup of ginger juice. Yes. And then I'm gonna just finish this thing of blueberry. It's probably not gonna make a full cup, but that's okay because we have cherry juice. So it's gonna be like a berry, cherry, ginger situation, which I think will be very tasty. And so I'm gonna just distribute this between the 2 jugs. They should. It's not an exact science, kombucha. It's just kind of getting the feel of it and getting the hang of it, like what you like in terms of sourness level or sweetness or carbonation level. I'm just this is basic. This is just what I prefer. This is what I tend to do. But you can really do all kinds of things with it. You can flavor it with different juices. I know people use whole fruit sometimes. Any juice that has a good level of sugar in it is going to give you the best bubbles. And also, what I found is green tea produces bubbles a little more readily than black tea. But you can do whatever. I did it like a chai spice with cranberry juice and ginger. It was really good. I like to put it into this bowl, which has a bit of a spout, a little less cumbersome than this thing. You are going to be losing a little bit of the carbonation when you're pouring it. It just happens, but it comes back after it's been fermented further. So that's that, and so yeah, when you're pouring this, you need to leave a little bit of headroom, if you see, like about an inch. And so you see that bubbling already, so it's time to bottle that up. Oh, this has like a thing in it. There we go. So that's 1. So, we're done with that. We're done with the messy part. And these bottles you're going to leave in a cool, dry place to ferment for anywhere from like 2 to 5 days. I like to do about 5 days, but it all depends on your taste. And a really important thing to remember is to burp your bottles. So while they're fermenting every day, you need to do a little thing like makes a sound like that. Very quickly, and that prevents the bottle from exploding. And it prevents the pressure from building up too much. And you don't want to do it for too long because you'll lose the gas, but you don't want to leave them unburped because that could cause explosions, which is not fun. So, and then just for the screw tops, you just do a little pop. And so do that every day, and then you should have some very nice fizzy kombucha by the end. Oh, one more thing. This kombucha, so the SCOBYs. You're wondering what we're doing with the SCOBYs. I just add in the healthiest looking ones, just like the freshest looking ones. Fresh SCOBY have a nice like cream color. This one's a little older, but they still work great. You know, you just don't want to have too many SCOBY, like I said, in the jar, because then they just take over and they don't really, you're not producing as much tea in the end. So yeah, I'm gonna probably have to get rid of like 1 or 2 of these just to make room for the new ones that are gonna form. Like this one's pretty new, this cream colored one. It's like, I don't even know what, but it looks like kind of like a blobfish. I feel so bad for that blobfish. You know the blobfish that you see is like, it looks like this really ugly fish and it's like this color, but it was like, turns out that it was just like brought up from the depths too soon, and it was just like the pressure change like made it look like a blob, even though underwater it was like fine. Anyway, don't laugh at the blobfish. And, ooh, gross. So yeah, I think I'm gonna throw these 2 out, but it's good to add back that starter liquid. Gives them some food, and then you should feed these as soon as possible with your sweet tea mixture. Okay, thanks a lot, and remember to wash your hands. Have a nice quarantine.